The book, Discovering God and Science, was published in 2009 on these two historic anniversaries. Chapter 1 in the book reviews the historical background of these events and the underlying conflict these events have caused between science and religion. On a clear night, far away from the city lights, one can look up into a sky full of twinkling stars. The beauty of the night sky can be breathtaking. From the beginning of time, men have wondered, where did the sun, moon, stars, earth, and people come from? In the last 100 years, science has learned more about the cosmos than all the preceding centuries of history. In the last several decades, the pace of discovery has speeded up. Recent new discoveries are making scientists rethink much of what they thought was true. One of the first scientific clues to this question came in 1908, when a young Swiss patent clerk published The General Theory of Relativity. His name was Albert Einstein. His theory suggested that the universe is expanding, which was counter to the scientific thinking at the time that the universe was ageless and static in nature. Einstein, therefore, added an ad hoc cosmological constant to eliminate the expansion. However, 2 decades later, astronomer Edwin Hubble made several very important discoveries which were to change our understanding of the universe. His discoveries would change the concept that the universe was static and ageless. One night, Hubble pointed the Hooker 100-inch telescope to a faint hazy patch of light, thought to be a gaseous nebula. To Hubble's surprise, he saw thousands of faint stars, and he soon realized that these were stars much more distant than any observed before. Soon Hubble discovered many more of these star systems. He called them island universes. Today we refer to them as galaxies. Hubble started studying these galaxies, and he estimated these galaxies were millions of light years distant. Using the telescope's spectrograph, Hubble discovered that galaxies are moving away from our Milky Way at high speeds. When Einstein learned of Hubble's discovery of an expanding universe, he realized his original formula, without the cosmological constant, had been correct. Einstein later said, adding the cosmological constant had been the biggest blunder of his scientific career. This realization meant that in the distant past, the universe was much smaller. The further back in time you go, the smaller the universe becomes. At some point in the distant past, the universe shrinks to a nothing point in space. Astronomers estimate about 13.7 billion years ago, an alteration of the space-time continuum occurred. From a tiny point in space, a great light burst forth. This was the moment of the Big Bang, the birth of the universe, the beginning of space and time. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good. So opens the first few lines of Genesis. The Big Bang Theory shows the first instant of creation was filled with intense light, just as the Bible says. But this is not the only similarity between the Big Bang and the Genesis account. There are at least 4 major descriptions in the Bible that the Big Bang model mirrors. Today, the Big Bang Theory is one of the most observed and tested theories in science, and it is pretty well established as a scientific fact. Arno Penzias, a Nobel Prize winner, said this about the Big Bang Theory: "The best data we have are exactly what I would have expected had I nothing to go on but the first 5 books of Moses, the Psalms, and the Bible as a whole." A key feature of the Big Bang model is that there was a starting point for the universe. It had not existed for all time as previously thought. This realization raises the question, what, or who, started the Big Bang and the universe? Or, if all the matter in the universe were in one tiny spot, we know the gravitational field would be so great that nothing could have escaped from it. So how could all the matter in the universe escape to expand the way we observe it today? A number of features in our universe have been set to exceedingly accurate degrees. These features are called fine-tuning. For instance, the force of gravity has been precisely set to an exact amount. If the force of gravity were just a little weaker, then no stars or planets would have formed. If, on the other hand, the force of gravity were just a little bit stronger, then only neutron stars and black holes would have formed. In either case, life on Earth would not have happened. Another example of fine-tuning is the ratio between the force of gravity and the electromagnetic force. If this ratio were increased by just 1 part in 10 to the 40th power, then only large stars would have formed. If, on the other hand, this ratio were decreased by just 1 part in 10 to the 40th power, then only small stars would have formed. In either case, life on a planet, such as ours, would have been impossible. Science now knows of at least 70 such examples of fine-tuning, all of which must be set to very precise values for life to exist here on Earth. Astronomers look at distant galaxies and have been able to measure their distances. The closest galaxies are measured as being tens of millions of light years distant. Recently, they have been able to measure very distant galaxies as being billions of light years away. This means that the faraway galaxies are billions of years old. Yet the Bible says that God created the heavens, sun, moon, and stars in just 6 days. Read chapter 5 in the book Discovering God and Science. When you apply Einstein's theory of relativity to the age of the universe, you get a very interesting answer. In chapter 4, you will learn about string theory, a new theory that suggests that all matter and energy is composed of thin strings of energy. This theory also suggests that there are more dimensions of space and time. If this theory proves to be true, then the universe we experience is only part of the total, real universe. 150 years ago, Charles Darwin published his theory of evolution. While many in the natural science fields are celebrating this anniversary, a growing number of scientists are questioning the merits of his theory. The late Harvard paleontologist and staunch evolutionist, Stephen Jay Gould, once admitted, the extreme rarity of transitional forms in the fossil record persists as the trade secret of paleontology. The evolutionary trees that adorn our textbooks have data at the tips and nodes of their branches. The rest is inference, however reasonable, not the evidence of fossils. Even though evolution is taught as a scientific fact in many public schools, you will learn in Chapter 7 how Darwin's theory of evolution violates a basic law of physics. His theory of evolution and the second law of thermodynamics cannot both be right at the same time. Dr. Karl Popper, considered by many scientists to be the greatest science philosopher of all time, said, "Evolution is not a theory, it is certainly not a fact, not even a hypothesis, but nothing more than a metaphysics research program." Where did the universe come from? How did life start? Is there a creator God? Read Discovering God and Science, Science Discoveries that Suggest There Is a Creator. This will likely be one of the most interesting books you will ever read. Discovering God and Science is available on this web page. Scroll down the page until you see the Buy button. Clicking on this button takes you directly to the publisher's online bookstore, where you can purchase this book. The book will be shipped right to your house. Enjoy the book.
This ends the presentation. Thank you for watching.